I do no harm to myself, my family, my community, other families or communities who live in peace and unity with others. I am protection.
This is the Guiding Principles of Peace and Unity channel. The Guiding Principles of Peace and Unity is an ethical, moral framework, a set of laws and affirmations, the foundation of which is to do good, do no harm. This channel is designed to examine important problems and solutions related to the Black community, some of them very difficult to talk about. Like this particular video is on child sexual abuse. Our goal is to heal those who have been harmed and to prevent harm to others. Another goal is to help people overcome challenges and achieve success. You may be surprised at who is sexually abusing our children. What is most important, though, is that we identify them and stop them. How? We must always become our children's best friends. We must always have conversations with them so that they know they can tell us anything, and we would know when they don't. We must convince them that we will always help them and protect them. Second, public exposure of abusers is effective. Abusers want secrecy. Never allow them to have secrecy. When caregivers know who abusers are, we can prevent and stop abuse. You can go to our website, thegppu.org. Look in the resources section. There are related information and materials to help you, your family, friends, and community address this issue. Hotlines, children's books, lessons for teaching, role-playing techniques, suggested therapies, and therapists. In the future, we will provide additional resources. You can also get a copy of the Guiding Principles of Peace and Unity at thegppu.org, along with their violations. That will help you understand us better. If you think this is important work, like this video, share it, and get on our email list. Only by living by a common set of unifying laws can community, common unity, be created. Watch the video. It's very informative. Until then, do good, do no harm.
So when we're thinking about who child sexual abusers are, I think it's important for parents to not just narrow down in their mind that there are adult male strangers that are hiding and lurking around waiting to prey on their children. Because if you have a concept of what a sexual abuser might be, you could very well miss the person who is in your midst with bad intentions. And so it's important to know that 50% of child sexual abusers are actually family members and not strangers. That 90% in general are not strangers, that they are people who the family trusts and knows. That 40% are actually older and more powerful children and not adults. And so that's also something to be mindful of, as there are teenagers around younger children or older children around significantly younger children who have inappropriate behaviors. So it's overall important to not pigeonhole the idea of who a sexual abuser could be of your child, but just be mindful of the relationships that your child has with people that are around them, whether it's caregivers, before care, after care, neighbors, friendly people in the community, family members who frequent the house and maybe live in the home temporarily or long term, who have access to the children when you're not home, or older children who are of another person's family who lives around you. Unfortunately, older children within the same family unit, not as often, but it has occurred that they have been sexually abusive. And so just being mindful of behaviors, appropriateness and inappropriateness of people that are around your children, and that your children are aware of what's appropriate and what's not appropriate, that you have open communications with your children around talking about times where they feel difficult or having challenges or uncomfortable situations with people, and that they can talk to you about it. That really will create an opportunity for the child to say when they're feeling that something uncomfortable is happening or has happened, and in hopes to prevent something worse from occurring.
Many people will tell you there's no single profile of a child molester. But I think what we have to look at is there's two types of child molesters. There are child molesters like the guy sitting outside a school or outside an arcade who draws the kid in with candy or draws the kid in with showing the kid dirty pictures and then gets the child and violently molests the child. That's one kind. That's not the kind of child molester we're talking about here. What we're talking about are those people, teachers, youth leaders, priests, scout leaders, who work in youth organizations, institutions of trust. And while it's not true in every single case, we pretty much know that most child molesters have these kinds of characteristics. Oftentimes, and again, we have to realize that over 90% of people who molest children, and some statistics show it higher, are males who molest young girls and males who molest young boys. And we also, of course, have the parents who molest their children. We're not talking about those people as well. We're talking about people who molest in the context of an institution. And in these situations, we tend to find that these people are single, unattached persons. These people present a terrific, eager interest in children. They cater to children. They know what children like almost better than the parents who send their children to these institutions know. They present themselves as people who will spend any hour of the day to meet the child's needs. So after the child leaves the scout troop, or after the child leaves the Boys and Girls Club, they come home and they need something, for instance, travel for school supplies, that person will do it for them. So again, what people need to look at is people who are overeager to be around children, people whose homes, when they go into the person's home, they see they have kid games around the house. They have things that children will be attracted to, because the one thing about child molesters is that they know what children want. They have practiced it for years and years and years. And the thing about child molesters is the way they practice it is they go from job to job, attempting to molesting children and leaving if somebody figures out who they are. And so molesters, while they're not cut out of one cookie cutter, they're people who seek the attention of children. And it's a gut reaction to the extent that nobody can say, yes, that's a child molester, but people have a queasy feeling. When people are interviewed typically after these cases are over, they'll say, I always thought that so-and-so, he always wanted to be around my kid, but I always thought he just was being nice about it because my kid never complained. And so, I think the most important thing to take away is you're going to look for people, typically single males, who have a great interest in the child, even coaches who want to do more for the kid. Even after the coaching is over, they want to take the kid out for and there's nothing wrong with this, obviously, because my kids' coaches have done this in the past, want to take the kids out for dinner afterwards. But you really have to monitor that. You really have to look at that, because when it becomes a pattern and practice in their behavior, then you have to be concerned. And so while, again, most people will be told there's no profile to a child molester, the person that spends a lot of time with your kid, the person that gives presents to your kid, the person that shows up at strange times, like in the early evening, to take your child to a music lesson when you haven't called them, the person who offers to babysit your child from the school, a teacher who wants to have the child come over and do some work on their house and pays them. Those are the types of people that you should at least be concerned about and look closely at, because child molesters disappear into the fabric of the culture they're living in. And so it does take, that's why training is so important to really help identify these people. That's why we have experts in our cases come in to talk about the grooming process, because child molesters know how to groom, and the grooming process is recognizing the profile of a child molester.
Who abuses children? For most of us, it's difficult to understand why anyone would sexually abuse a child and cause such harm. As parents, grandparents and carers, our instincts are to nurture and protect our children. So whilst many people feel they have already heard enough about abuse, with horrific stories in the press about children being abused by strangers, it is vital that we face reality if we're wanting to keep our children safe. And the reality is that most children who are abused by people they know, people they trust, people they love.
People who abuse children can be rich or poor, male or female, married or single. They can be parents, grandparents, family friends, or even other young people. Abusers may abuse their own children, children within their larger family, the children of friends and neighbours, or children they meet through their jobs or volunteer work. Child sex abusers are skilled at building trust, and abuse might take place for years without anyone knowing about it. Many are bright and friendly and don't fit with the monster stereotype portrayed in the press. They're not easy to spot, because they're ordinary. And because children rarely tell about abuse, it's important that adults know the danger signs and how to respond. More than that, it's vital that we work out how to prevent this harm from happening in the first place.
No. 90% of child sexual abuse is committed by someone the child knows, like a neighbor, stepfather, brother, cousin, clergy, or coach.